Hello everyone! Happy Wednesday. Happy scoping out. Wednesdays at 8:30 Mountain Time. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're talking about the path to victory and that it actually takes more than just commitment. This is a big one for me because I am a risk taker. I'm a person who goes out and makes big dreams come true. And this is something that I have to work on and have had to work on over and over and over again in my life. If you have ever read Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces, here it is, right here, Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell. He has deconstructed from around the world mythologies and stories and legends and epic tales into a story arc called The Hero's Journey. If you haven't heard of Joseph Campbell, I'm sure if you've ever taken any kind of English literature or writing class, you have heard of The Hero's Journey. And one of the things that happens in The Hero's Journey, the very first thing the hero does when he's called to take a risk, take the journey, save the world, right, is back off and go, no, you got the wrong person. I'm no hero. I am flawed. I am weak. I have problems, right? That's the first thing the hero does. The next thing he does after some coercion and some time and the right circumstances of a lot of times not even having the choice is he makes the commitment. That's the first thing we do. We make this commitment to do something. This last Saturday, I climbed my very first 14er. I live in a state, I live in Colorado, where we have like 52 or 56, 50 plus 14ers. Have never done this in my life. So at the ripe old age of 43, I just decided I'm going to do this. But I didn't just decide. Last year, I saw some developments in my health, recovering from chronic illness, right? I saw some things start to turn around for me, and I said, I wonder if I can do this. Remember, if you've been coming to these for a while, it's all about curiosity and playfulness. What are you getting curious about? How can you push yourself in a way that is playful and childlike so that you're fueled from this inner sustainable place? Well, last summer I said, what happens if I do a 14er? Do you think I can do it? Oh, I'm seeing some improvements. Is it possible? That was the commitment, right? Coming out of chronic illness, the first thing was, no way, there's no way I can do this. And yet over time and with some patience, I got to the point where I was willing to take this journey. So commitment, yes, it's absolutely necessary. But what happens next after that commitment? And this is something that Joseph Campbell doesn't talk about. And this is something that a lot of people don't really explain thoroughly or well, is that we cannot just commit once. We can't. So I made this plan last year. I said August 6th. Well, August 6th came around. The weather was horrible. There was lightning. I don't want to be on a mountain of granite when there's lightning. So put it off a week. So it was 1 week later than my original plan, which is okay. And during that time, I had a whole year to think about what this was going to look like for me. How was I going to do this in a way that was gracious and caring toward my health, right? So self-care. So this isn't the goal at any cost. Do you understand? Yes, make that commitment, but not at any cost. So self-care, what did that look like for myself? And then over the course of the summer, I gave myself these little victories. So it started out with a 9,000 feet, then it went to a 10,000 feet, and then it was an 11,000 feet, then it was a 12,000 feet, and always with grace, with friends, with food, with water, with just this fun experience, trying the hiking poles, trying it without, just really allowing myself this opportunity to grow into my goal in a way that was with grace and ease. Do you understand? We are balls to the wall in our society, and it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, balls to the wall also means burnout. So if I had at the very beginning of the year, or even over the course of the winter, gone into this rigorous training program, it's entirely likely, especially because I was coming out of a chronic illness type situation, that I would have really quickly reached burnout, especially with everything else I'm juggling. That's not my only thing I'm taking on, right? That's not the only victory I'm trying to achieve. So in seeking this balance, not even seeking, in living this balance, it happens with grace and ease. So you make that commitment, and then you find this curiosity, this playfulness, this easy way to get there in such a way that you grow yourself into the position. This is true in business. This is true in relationships. This is true as parents. This is true in everything we do. Whatever that end goal is, whatever that big goal is, allow yourself the space and the time to grow into it, grow into that commitment. Here's the big thing, and this is the piece that doesn't get talked about and doesn't really, we don't fully understand, or if we understand it, we don't like it. What I'm really talking about here, yes, grace, ease, playfulness, all of those things. What I'm really talking about here is not just the one commitment, but 1,000 recommitments. Do you understand? Every single time there was a weekend that came up, I had to put something on my calendar. I planned to put something on my calendar. I made sure I had snacks ready, water ready, full tank of gas to get my ass to the mountains and give it a shot, right? And then Saturday, day of, I'm climbing that mountain, and I got to a point where the only commitment I could make to myself was the next 10 steps. I always did more, but the promise I made to myself was 10 more steps. My son was with me, and I remember when we were doing Red Rocks, it's high elevation and it's got a ton of stairs. I was doing that 3 times a week, and most times he came with me, and he'd laugh at me because I'd go, okay, 2 more, where there was sections, sections of 8 or 10 stairs. 2 more. That's all I'm committing to is 2 more. Well, I did the same thing on the mountain. 10 more steps. All right, G, let's do the next 10 steps. And I'd get out, 50 or 60, maybe even 100. But it got to that point where the oxygen was so thin and my body was so worn and tired. That was the only commitment I could make. 1,000 recommitments. So when we deconstruct victory, when we deconstruct this promise to ourselves to take this adventure and reach that end game, what we begin to see is, okay, there's the big commitment. August 6th, I'm going to hike a 14er. That's my big commitment, right? And then there are these smaller commitments. Over the winter, I'm going to increase the resistance on my elliptical, which I do almost every day, right? So that was, and then come summer, every weekend. Now we're looking at a weekly recommitment, right? And then as we were getting closer, it was a daily. And then as I got up to the mountain, it was step by step, 1,000 recommitments. And if you notice, the closer I got to my goal, the harder it got for me to get there, the more resistance I had, the more pain I experienced, the smaller the step, the smaller the goal. And I racked up those successes and I racked up those wins until ultimately I reached the summit and made it. My first 14er at 43 years old after a health journey away from chronic illness. Pretty badass, right? Pretty badass. One badass bitch coming at ya. Right? That's how you do it. We have this idea that if we make a commitment and we fall off that wagon or we don't do it right out of the gate, we don't go whole hog, balls to the wall right out of the gate, that somehow we've done something wrong. We didn't really want it. We haven't committed fully, or we are flawed, or we're a quitter, or we're flaky, or whatever that thing is you're telling yourself. It's bullshit. I call bullshit on your story right now. And I've just given you the formula that is digestible, grace, ease, that will get you to your victory every single time. Allow yourself to chunk it up. Allow those chunks to get smaller where it's hardest. And allow yourself to enjoy the process. Celebrate the wins along the way. Every win along the way matters. Every win along the way matters. Tell yourself that every 10 steps, right? That's how you do it. Easy peasy. And you're going to let me know. So your homework, other than subscribing to the channel, if that you're watching the recording for this, go ahead and subscribe to these because we do this every week, Wednesdays at 8:30 Mountain Time. And your homework this week, my homework this week, is to take those great big goals where I'm hitting resistance, where you are hitting resistance, where you are getting fearful, or you're running into your old patterns, where you're starting to see yourself flake out or give up or get scared. Chunk it up. Where's the playfulness? What can be the next step of success? What's that next victory you can rack up on the scoreboard? You're going to let me know about it. You're going to let your accountability partners know about it. Your mastermind partners know about it. You're going to come to Lovely Membership Group Coaching if you're a part of that. Conscious Transitions, whatever it is you have that is going to keep you accountable to your goals in a way that is loving, kind, and just celebratory of your awesomeness. You're awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time here on Scoping Out. Bye, everybody. Happy victories.